Hi, everybody. Robin Hyatt here. I am going to continue on with my Mormon Trail information. As you know, I was raised Mormon. My parents joined the church in California when I was 7. We were all sealed together in the Oakland Temple, I believe, in a year later. Parents dispersed. They started becoming very active and teaching and gone all the time. And then, church was pretty much several hours on Sunday. And then we had midweek church. So we were pretty much church, 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 church. So if you want to read a little bit more about me and me leaving Mormonism, I have a book. And in the back of the book, you are going to read 3 people's testimonies. One person became a really good friend in Utah when I moved to Utah and hung out there. And then 2 other testimonies are from women that I've met through the Vineyard Church here in Boise, Idaho, that are former Mormons and very wonderful, strong women. I am going to continue on talking about Joseph Smith because my little bit of I just kind of wanted to, you want to know what makes this man tick. And I'm thinking that he's kind of a criminal. And I shouldn't be judgmental. So I'm going to just use the facts here. And this is the person that I gave my life to and worshiped. And I'm a better person than he is. I've never been arrested, and I've never even had a parking ticket. And I think he was so tenacious, and he did it his way, and no one was going to stop him. And he just happened to get in with some men that had money. You're going to read that in here in just a few minutes. So did you know, and I didn't know all this, I knew he was arrested when he was a prophet, and it was just religious persecution. Well, there was a lot going on prior to him becoming a Mormon prophet. So you're going to see here, he was at least arrested 42 times. That's a lot. So we're going to go through a few of these. Here are all the places he fled to. You got Far West, Nauvoo, Kirkland, and Bainbridge. Of course, he was born in 1805, and his family was in Vermont when he was born, and then they moved to New York. Let's see. Let me go down here a little bit more. So you can read this actually pretty much on your own. Where was it? So we're going to start here. Smith was born in 1805. And things were just different then. We didn't have the... he got away with a lot. His family moved to New York in 1817. At age 20, Smith described in court records, Smith was a glass looker. So we know that he was on the mystical, magical side. We know that. He was doing anything he could to scam people. He was a scam artist from the very beginning. And it had to come from his vagabond background with his dad being a drunk, that he and his brothers kind of had this vagabond lifestyle. So they were just scamming people, trying to make money, an easy way. So, and he had... I read that he, one of these guys that got pissed off at him, he summoned him because he heard through the grapevine that he was pretty reputable for finding buried treasure. So he took this guy to this stump, and he says, we're going to find a feather, and then below the feather will be your buried treasure. So they dig. They found the feather. They found the feather, but they didn't find the treasure. And Joseph's excuse always was, well, we weren't working fast enough, or we didn't have blah, 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 and it sunk down deeper, and we're not going to be able to find it. So they were kind of finding out that he planted the feather there. For being an intuitive person that I am, because there's a lot of people out there professing to be intuitives that are scam artists also. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful. So let's see. Joseph was a glass licker, faced his first criminal charge as a misdemeanor count of being disorderly person. 1830, he faced the same charges. Smith left New York for Ohio because he wasn't getting anywhere and people were onto him. So he moved on. March 20th, 1826, Smith was arrested again by Constable Philip D. Zang and brought to court in Bainbridge, New York, on the complaint that Josiah Stoll's nephew, who accused Smith of being a disorderly person and an imposter. An anonymous writer claimed to have been given access to an account of court records, so someone got the records of this account, which was published in 1873, and Smith described his divination methods. Now, let's see if we can kind of see if this is something how he found the Book of Mormon. Smith said he had certain stone which he occasionally looked at to determine where hidden treasures in the bowels of the earth were, that he professed to tell in this manner where gold mines were a distance underground. And he had looked for Mr. Stoll several times and had informed him that he could find these treasures, and Mr. Stoll had been engaged in digging for them. That at Palmyra he pretended to tell by looking at his stone where coined money was buried in Pennsylvania. Okay, and while in Palmyra, it's early. The coffee has not kicked in. He had frequently ascertained that in the way were lost treasures on various occasions. So he was false. False, man, this man. Okay, so now I wanted to go to... Now, some of you don't know, that Smith opened a bank and it went under. He embezzled all the money. Surprise! So he opened a bank to take care of everybody's money, and then it crashed. Oh, how this man didn't get put in jail. I mean, I found out how he didn't get put in jail. So look at illegal banking, 1837. Samuel D. Rounds swore a writ against Smith and Sidney Rigdon for illegal banking and issuing unauthorized bank paper. At a hearing on March 24th, the court found sufficient evidence for the case to go to trial. In October, Smith and Rigdon were tried. Let's see. Let me bring this up again. Okay. After having left Ohio to Upper Canada, so these guys took off again, flee. They were each found guilty on fines of $1,000. 1837, $1,000 probably would be close to $1 million maybe now. But since he had Mormon followers that were wealthy, he was arrested 7 times in 4 months, and his followers managed heroically to raise $38,000 for bail. He was a criminal, you guys. Your religion is based on a fraudulent criminal. Wow, he is so not of God. I'm not judging here. I'm just reading what is here, because it just makes me so sad, because he is hurt, because the form of Mormonism has hurt so many people. and there's been deaths where people can't live up to the standards. When I moved to Utah, I found out that Utah's a lot different than the whole rest of the United States in Mormonism. There was the most depressed women I had ever met. And at that time, this was in the 90s, they said it was the highest Prozac country and the highest suicide rate. They actually had detention homes. They're kind of detention homes for wayward kids. They're kids that are trying to commit suicide, gay, lesbian, drugs, and I met several people that worked at these homes to try to watch these kids. And it's either you're Mormon or you're not. It's very, very completely sad. So then Joseph goes deeper. This I did not know. Conspiracy to murder a man in 1837. There was a man on to Joseph Smith about his banking fraud. According to Grandison Newell, Smith had conspired with Solomon Denton and Marvel C. Davis to murder him because this guy, the Kirkland Safety Society was Joseph Smith's bank. Fraudulent bank. He thought he was above the law. But everything he did was not of the law. He made his own rules. And he was a menace to society. He was a complete menace to society. He is lucky that he had these people backing him, because he would have been in jail. He would have been in jail. June 3rd, Smith appeared before Justice Flint in a preliminary hearing. Orson Hyde testified that Smith seemed much excited and declared that Newell should be put out of the way, or where the crows could not find him. He said destroying Newell would be justifiable in the sight of God, that it was the will of God. He blanketed all his dirty deeds with God and Jesus Christ in front of it. Kind of like the church does now, where they blanket Jesus Christ in front of the church, where it is, Jesus really has no place being placed in that church at all. Denton testifies that he, along with Davis, were tasked with murdering Newell. According to Denton, Smith spoke of Newell, said he had injured the society, his bank, and that it was better for one man to suffer than to have the whole community disturbed, that it was the will of heaven that Newell should be put out of the way, and that he would take the responsibility for the deed was justifiable in the sight of God and would be rewarded. Wow, this guy was good. But when we had killed him, he wanted his body secreted if possible. Smith was released on a $500 bond. So I think it was hearsay. That's why he got off. But look at all the money. He's just a menace to society. Bank fraud, 1838. Missouri. While in Missouri, Smith faced charges of threatening a public official, later treason. He allowed to escape custody and fled to Illinois. He was on the run most of the time, and the poor saints had to follow him. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm just going to let you guys completely read that. Wikipedia. Missouri treason case, 1838 to 1839 in Illinois. After fleeing Missouri, Smith faced attempts to extradite him to Missouri on charges of treason and conspiracy to commit murder. So he was arrested in 1841. So, it says that he moved a lot and he all these mobs and everything. I think it's because he was on the run, and I think what are those people that find people that flee and they get money for it? I'm sure he had a lot of people after him because to bring him back. Um, he also had conspiracy to murder Governor Boggs, so he had two people that he was going to take out and murder so he could have his way. I know people make mistakes. I know people have been in jail. In fact, there's a pastor at Calvary Chapel who was in jail for drug trafficking when he was young, found God in jail, and became a pastor. And this church grew leaps and bounds because this man was actually amazing. And he went from to the bottom of the barrel all the way up. And he learned his lessons and he taught them to us. But Joseph Smith, with two attempts of murder of government officials, he should have been in jail. He was naughty and he was a criminal. And then the polygamy thing came into place. And these poor women, you guys think about it. Think about it. Really think about it. Because as a Mormon, you skim by this part. Think about it. He married young girls. He married women that were caretakers in his house, actually two sisters, under Emma's roof. He also married a mother, and he also married her daughter, or young daughter. Actually, I have no words for him. He was just bad news. So you know that everything was escalating to the point that happened at Carthage jail. His whole life was escalating to this point because he was not going to be contained, he was not going to be controlled, and he was going to do whatever he pleased. And if you didn't like it, he will kill you. So, when I went to the temple, we had the signs and the tokens, and we also had, if you revealed them, that we would slit our throats and we would cut our stomachs. They did take that out halfway through when I went to the temple. I guess I didn't understand the gravity of that, but in those days, there was gravity on that. People were killed for questioning the church. You were killed for it. If you dishonored your temple vows or baptismal, you would be taken out, and he had men that would do that. I didn't think that Joseph Smith was murderous. I knew Brigham Young had blood on his hands. Of course, you could never peg him for it because he was in Mormon land, but there is a lot of blood, you guys, on your hands as Mormons, because once you take that temple rite, once you take that baptismal rite of Mormonism, you take on the blood stains of each prophet. You have to own it. You have to own it. You have to own your history. You do. You can't bypass it. You have to own it. And those that have gotten out, be so glad that you took the blood stains off of you. You no longer worship, praise, sing about a prophet that is false, a prophet that is trying to commit murder of another human being, and a prophet that has just destroyed people's lives. He doesn't care. He didn't care. He cared about himself. He cared about himself, and everything was a lie. There's places for this man, and I don't know if he will be in heaven. He has a lot of growth to do. As I've been an intuitive, I learned that there are levels, but it's levels of growth of your spirit. And each of us have DNA, and our DNA is a factor from our past lives. And we, in my opinion, Smith doing all that he did and thought he could get away with it and kind of did get away with it. He's a young spirit. He has a lot of growth and learning to do. He's not an old soul. He's a new soul, to be able to go through this and to not feel remorse about it. So you got so you got murder, illegal banking, disorderly conduct, threatening a judge, treason, conspiracy to murder another person, treason, perjury, fornication, and adultery, inciting a riot, treason again. You guys, think about your church. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. A lot of churches are raised on tumultuous foundations. I know the Catholic churches, they have a lot of blood on their hands also. That's why I'd admonish you when you are going through your awakening and you are leaving this faith and you're distraught and you kind of don't know where to go because you really don't know who you are without the church. I didn't know who I was without the church. The church told me who I was. Church told me what to wear. The church told me what not to pierce. The church told me everything, religion, how to speak, how to think. I was controlled by this church. And when you have an impressionable mind at 7 years old to 37, was I 37 or 40? It's really, you have to think it's not your fault. You did what your family wanted you to do. I was well behaved and I just did it all. And I thought I was doing the right thing. So you can't punish yourself too much on that because you thought you were doing the right thing. And in your mind you were. And you really weren't hurting anybody. But now that you have your awakening and you feel lost, as I say, don't go to the abyss. A lot of people go either sink into drinking, partying, sexual stuff. You don't have to do that. What I recommend you do is find a class. And churches have classes. You don't have to go to their church, but they have classes. Calvary Chapel has a class. And I think there is another one. Vineyard used to, but it kind of fizzled out and merged with Calvary Chapel. Go to these classes because that's what I did. I needed to find things out. And I remember going to my first class at Calvary Chapel of Mormonism. And there was about a dozen of us there. And one lady wasn't Mormon and she married a man that was. And for her to marry him, she loved him. And they were older. So this was second marriages. She became Mormon for him. Well, when he passed away, a couple years after they married, the children turned on her, took everything, and wanted her out of the family. And she was distraught because she gave up everything. She joined this church and gave up her family to marry this man that she loved. And when he died, she was ousted. And she was so confused. She was very confused. And the tears that I saw in these classes, I was by that time, I was about 5 years out. But I was still floundering, trying to find myself. And I was having a hard time going back into a church. And I can tell you now that I have never worn a dress again. Where I work, I have to dress up, but I wear slacks. I've worn a dress my whole life, and I don't want to wear dresses anymore because I think about Mormonism. I do want to tell you another story that when I first moved here, I had just taken my name off the church in Washington State. And when I moved to Idaho, I thought, let me go to church one more time just to make sure I made the right choice. So I called up whoever, what ward am I in? They told me what ward I'm in, but we're going to send out the Relief Society president to talk to you first. Oh, okay. So she came. Now, I have to tell you, I'm just middle class America. It's just me. I can only afford what I can afford. Well, they send out this lady that pulls up in front of my duplex in this like a Fiore, is this little red sports car that was like $100,000 car. She gets out. I wouldn't let her into my house because I wasn't gonna. She was like so fancy. I'm going, you're not coming in my house. Um, so she talks to me outside and she is judging me. She looks me up and down. And I know what she was doing. She was sizing me up to see how much this was going to cost the ward if I was coming back into the church to live on the church, because people do that. And she goes, well, you can come on Sunday, and I'll be there, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I have slacks, but I don't have a dress, and I'm not going to buy a dress. And she goes, well, are your slacks nice? I go, yeah, I wear them to work. And she goes, okay, well, just for one time you can wear those. Then you have to wear a dress. And she left because she was going to the mall and going shopping. And I went, no, thank you, Lord. Thank you for telling me. No, I forgot. See, I had forgotten what the church was really like and how they judge you. I forgot it. And this woman just brought it right into my face. And I went, thank you, Lord. And then I went to the vineyard. The vineyard didn't care what I wore. I could wear my hat if I want to. I could wear my jeans. I could wear my pajamas. They are so glad to see me. They want you to worship and feel God. They're looking at your eyes, not what you're wearing. They're looking at your spirit, your soul. They're trying to feed you the word of Christ. And that's what I did. I'm not a strong goer of the church. I enjoy it when I go, but I do have a fear of getting involved in a church and having it control me, because I don't know if I don't trust myself or if I don't trust the church. Not quite sure. So you guys, peace out. Go find a class if you're thinking about getting out. Can't hurt you to take a class. It can't. It will just, the people that teach these classes are very knowledgeable. The man that I taught this class was so knowledgeable. He helped me. He gave me books to read, and I came to understanding, and I came to the guilt went away, and then I can move on with my life. Peace out, guys. Love you. Take care, and be of good cheer. Thank you. Bye.